But anyway, this was a series of great Jewish books. They've so far done 20s through the 60s. And I was hoping that people would volunteer, because I think the books they would volunteer to read what these are considered it was a must read for the 20s, 30s, 40s. But if not, at least everybody's going to get, I have a copy of these for everybody. You don't have to be you don't have to be the reviewer, but I think those who have been with me since the beginning, and how many years ago, Iris, did we start this?
I can't even remember that far back. We started with short stories.
Right. It's been a very long time, and not one of our very earliest, but Brenda will remember it too, because with the book that they picked for the 20s, must have been not such big pickings there either. Anyway, was The Bread Givers. So I don't remember, if you remember, we not only read The Bread Givers, we watched the movie. You all
I don't remember that. That was too far back.
No. I had 3 copies. So that means everybody will have to read it, or at least one person will have to read The Bread Givers. To consider that this is an immigrant woman, her family spoke Yiddish. Her father didn't feel that women had any right to education. And she wrote this book, and she really, it was made into a movie. And this is in the 20s. So nobody remembers seeing the movie?
Was this the book that was written in rather poor English? It was as if it was translated. We read something.
It was definitely had a rhythm that was.
Yeah, it was a difficult one to read because of the rhythm of the words.
Yes, but but we did see the. I got a copy. I rented a copy of the movie.
Yeah.
And we watched the movie, which I mean, it was an immigrant story, and the father and the daughter, and the tensions in a second generation Jewish home and actually I should think it's any generation, Italian families who the father didn't feel or didn't even want children to be more educated so that they would be, I think it's a wonderful thing that you want your child to be better educated, to do more than you did, to got more out of life than you did. And I think this is pretty much a Jewish wish. And I think that's actually, if you think about it, a very exceptional philosophy of life. And that we do deserve our soubrette of being the people of the book, So anyway, so I thought that we were going to have a quick recap, but since I'm the only one who remember reading it, maybe somebody would be willing to read it again, and then we could at least. But I can see the point is that it's not so much the wonder of the books of this book; it's that it was even came into existence, that it got published, and that Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer wanted to make a movie out of it. This is in the 20s, so.
What was it about, Rona?
It's about a young Jewish girl whose father really didn't. It's a treatment of the struggle of Jewish immigrants, especially Jewish women, to find their way in the new world. I mean, this is an amazing thing. We read.
I have no recollection of reading that.
Well, then here's your opportunity, Iris. But what was it's an amazing thing to me that so many people that my fathers had 2 brothers that were doctors, a PhD scientific. His one sister was a high school teacher, the other was maybe not a PhD, at least a master's and worked in the health department in the city. And that and my father became a librarian. So I'm just saying that it was the Jewish story, and I know that it wasn't a problem that for the females were not, in my father's family, were not treated differently than the men. They were educated and they were expected. And my mother went to college on that side of the family too. So I'm just saying that it isn't universal, but in many immigrant families, even if you took care of getting to college yourself, you weren't available or as available to help the family's finances as a whole. So it was a big push. And so it is the story of a young girl trying to make her way in the world and get a college education. And I remember just being floored by her life story more than the book. As Laura said, I was kind of interested in the fact that they chose it as a must-read from 1920s, because I don't remember it particularly being the book. It was just the whole package, is that it touched other people and enough that they wanted to make a movie of it. So maybe someday we'll get it again, and then I don't think it was really worth that. Anyway, so we have that, and then the next, somebody who's really ambitious.
Ooh.
The next one in the series is The Family Mashber, and it's written by Janister, and it was written in Yiddish, and this is the 30s, and it was translated. It's a protein work, a tale of divided family and divided souls, a panoramic picture of an Eastern European town, a social satire, a Kabbalistic allegory, and an innovative fusion of modern art and traditional storytelling. And a tale of weird humor. I can see already that this is, and if you look at the book, I don't know if you can see. Can I get it close enough? You can see how small the writing is.
Yeah.
So this is really chock full. And I just want to say, if anybody wants to undertake it, like say a challenge, that's fine. And it won't be, they don't have to have it the next week read. It has.
What's the name of that again?
The Family Mashber, Mashber, Mashber. I don't know how else you would pronounce it. But
M-A-S-H what? I'm sorry.
Mashber.
B-E-R, okay. I'll see if I can.
And it's just, it's pretty amazing, and then the next one was, where was the 30s? For some strange reason, that's the 30s. The 40 is Near to the Wild Heart, Clarice Nispector. And she was not even an American. Hers was translated too. But it's called Near to the Wild Heart. And honestly, I don't think I have it, but I am going to get it for the library. And I do have in the library for some reason, I never could find it. I'm going to have to call, I'm going to maybe try to find this company or this community and find out. I just never found the 50s. And then the 60s, it's called Life and Fate by Vasily Grossman. So anybody who's looking for a challenge and wants to just get in touch with me, I'll be thrilled to share that with you. We are also I'm giving out next week, The Luster Machine. It's an article from Tablet, another really chock full. We're talking about historic importance. The Lust Machine is about the gramophone and the Jewish reaction to the gramophone. You have, as you may not be surprised, that the first gramophone manufacturers and sellers were Jewish, but at the same time, it was considered to hear a feminine voice also to hear sacred music, and their best sellers of the gramophone, the best records were cantorial music in the beginning. So it's a fascinating article about the different Jewish reactions. And I thought it was interesting that when we did a small portion of time on the Jews and music, that this came along the next week, and I found it fascinating. And I think it was meant to be. So this is when we meet outside next week. I'm going to give you a copy of the great Jewish books, and by then we may have another decade. And I'll have copies of the books that these are talking about, so that maybe someone would like to read them and talk to us about them. And definitely, everybody has to read The Lust Machine. It's really fascinating about how it was resolved, anyway, so that's coming for next week. Because I wanted to see you. This week, I am going to offer to you, I'm very excited. I was going to have, but unfortunately, I had spoken, I don't know, maybe Laura could tell us where Rena and Jonathan Horwitz are. I was trying to pin him down to bring his beautiful silver artwork, but maybe she's either hiding from me or they're off somewhere.
I haven't spoken to them for weeks and maybe months already. The time goes so fast. And they had rented a house someplace with their family. I don't know if they're still there or not.
That was months ago. I didn't feel it'd be there. It was I think in New Hope or somewhere around there. So
do you have their cell phone number if the house number isn't working? I'll get it for you.
Okay.
I'll give you
I have it. I have whatever. Not where they're rent. You mean the telephone?
No,
I sent an email. I only sent an email.
Okay. I'll send you the other contacts.
Okay, thanks. And also, I thought it would be very interesting, and I'm also going to mention it because Brenda knows too, because in her wonderful way, she knows all about what's going on in the temple, and she's always doing something. And I make a yasher koach to our wonderful Brenda. So my hats off, because I called up David Zelinziger, and I just want to know. I don't know what I don't know. He just loves to talk, and if somebody, he's usually very interesting. I know he's very interested in the politics of his village. And he goes to everything. But in addition, I just feel he's a little lonely. He had what was supposed to be just a regular cataract operation. And it worked for, everything was going well for a week or two. And then after that, it turned out after misdiagnosis and having get people to take him to a number of doctors that he had an attached retina. And I don't know if it's directly, it doesn't have to be. It could have been just a coincidence, but
Wow.
with a cataract, or maybe the cataract just jostled his eye removal. I don't know, whatever it is, but thank God he went to a specialist who saved his eye. So, but anyway, that's neither here nor there, except if somebody was feeling that they wanted to do their mitzvah of the week and just call and tell him you heard he was not well. He is an interesting speaker, and he has a published diary from his grandmother in Poland, a Holocaust diary that was published in Germany, first in German, and now has been translated to English. So the women in his life are very interesting. His description of his grandmother and the ghetto she was in, and her community, it was very different. She was in Bergen-Belsen, he said, but they were not required to wear uniforms, and it was not a wonderful life, but not more like Theresienstadt rather than like Auschwitz. So it was a very interesting, and he'd bring he's bringing me a copy of her diary, and I would love for somebody to read that too. But also, I don't know if everybody knows, his mother was in Israel as a young woman, and with her family, and became the I don't know exactly what to call her. Won't say mistress, but certainly the significant other of Amichai, the poet, the Israeli poet, Amichai, who didn't think her parents took her back to America because she's not American by birth. I think, but even when she, at the time that I knew her recently, right, Brenda? Do you know anything about? I don't see Brenda now. She'll be back. But anyway, that biographies of him mention Ruth being the love of his life and whom we wrote poetry. And it turns out to be Ruth Zelensker. So, I mean, and obviously, when I saw that being written up in reviews, I didn't want to broach the subject with him because I thought maybe he would be embarrassed, or by his mother's love life before, she was married. But anyway, it's true. He was really very proud to have a connection to Ami.
He spoke at one of the Sisterhood summer programs. He spoke at length about his mother and her ties to Israel and all that. It was very interesting at the time.
I think he's
It was about 2 years ago, I think, possibly.
So
I don't remember that.
So anyway, he's promised he'll come and talk about his grandmothers, and we had a long conversation about it, and he speaks very well, and I think it would be quite an addition. And he said it's a beautiful book, so it's really just a diary. It's not. I don't know that it has anything else than just her words in it. So it's, but he could give you background that. I always think that when you know something more about an author or the time or whatever, it certainly enhances your appreciation of any book, any literature. So, but unfortunately, because his eye is still not right, and it's been over a month, I think, since the retina was reattached, he really can't get out and around too much. So I do wish him well and hope but he promises to come when he's better. So we're hoping in September. The doctor said that he should be.
Not that any of us are going anyplace.
No.
Really.
No. I said we'll be waiting for him. That's fine. So today, it just so happens that that Jamie, I say thank you to Jamie, who kept my last book list. I didn't send it out saying we probably weren't going to be doing anything with it, but he did what I said. I'm going to try to get the books out into the public. Here they are, new, untouched. Everybody will be the first one. I don't know what. We're going to call the library, the public library, to see what they're doing about lending out books that. Well, obviously their books have sat there for 3 months too, 2 or 3 months. So that I would assume that by now they certainly are lendable. But we have the advantage that these are untouched. So I will.
Until right now. By the way, the library has a very good system. When you reserve, they have a table in the vestibule between the doors, and the book that you reserve is in a black plastic bag with your name on it. And it's an honor system. You just go and take it. And they've already printed it out. You don't have to have any contact with anybody.
You reserved it, so they're giving it to you, and they're making you responsible for it. So
right, and they give you 3 days to pick it up, and then it's due at whatever the date would be that they.
But they really do take it back if you don't come in 3 days, because I did. I had already read the book. It was left from before the closing of the library. I had a copy of the Jerusalem Maiden, so I didn't even. I thought, I wanted to go and see how the system worked. But they'd already taken it back. So you bet when you reserve, you really should. Have you reserved? I know that you can either do it online or you could call up the Which desk has the,
I think I read also that they keep the books for 72 hours before they send them out again. So in
Oh,
72
okay.
hours, theoretically,
okay, that's good.
germs will die.
Well, so
Theoretically.
anyways, all right, so
I got it now.
but we have, and first come, first serve. Either you give me your, raise your hand if you're interested, or call me or email me, and I will have the best book down in the lobby for you. Okay, so here's this week's reading list. Here is a beautiful book. You'll see, this is Frida Kahlo.
Oh.
It is a short. She led a very colorful life. It is a short.
Yeah.
It's a short memoir. No, I don't know if it's a memoir. It must be no, it's not a memoir. It's an intimate account, offers a new, unexpected understanding of the artist's work and of the vibrant 1930s surrealistic scene. And I think her life was surrealistic enough. She came from a practicing Jewish family, but I don't think that necessarily she was of a practiced Jewish family. But and her lover, and she had a tumultuous time together. This is in Mexico, so so she's well worth reading. It's a short book, and it is available. We have Adam Begley, very good writer. This is Houdini, the Elusive American. A slight pun. Begley is a wonderful writer, and as this part of this, the whole is the Jewish Lives, is put out by Yale. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it's Mark Pettigene. Is the author of the Frida Kahlo book. It's the Kahlo book. Mark, Petitjean. But if he's French, it's Petitjean. I don't know how he pronounces. But this is the one that this is the one I would particularly love to read. And I always loved Houdini as the only Jewish magician I know, and but the Jewish Lives whole Yale. There must be 50 books now. It's a what they're all about Jewish personalities, and what's really nice, and they're done by well-known authors. And this one is Adam Begley. They are also really relatively short. So anyone interested, we have Houdini, we have Frida Kahlo, and this one might be very interesting. This is big. This is the founder of Weight Watchers. And
Oh,
the founder, yes. Yes. The founder of Weight Watchers changed the world and me. The author is Marissa Meltzer, and it's supposed to, and it got wonderful reviews. If anybody likes biographies, and this is interesting to me, it's also extremely large print. And it's funny to me that when I put it up on the screen, the large screen and the small screen looks the same size. But take my word for it, this is a large screen book, a large font, and and on the other hand, the Yiddish translation was not. All right. So I have one other biography. This is interesting to me. This is The Inevitability of Tragedy, Henry Kissinger and His World. Now, he was certainly a famous,
inevitable.
but he had he had a background. He was very dramatic, and honestly, a very severe person, and really was not what I call an optimist. And in many cases, and besides, he was in Nixon's administration, so right there, it was a problematic time. But he's a name that we still know. So there we are. So here, and this too was beautiful. It was reviewed as a
In his
wonderful
world.
book. And this is, and the world. This is not only his life, but more importantly, I mean, it's what was going on when he was in the government. Okay, so that's. We have two food. We can't. Oh no, I'm sorry. I don't know who it. We also have, as part of the Jewish Lives, Yale series. Interesting because how they had politicians and artists and humorists and philosophers that not only coming out at the same time. We have Houdini. These are on the lighter side. And now we have Stan Lee. I don't know if you all know. Stan Lee was the cartoonist, one of the founding cartoonists, and it's very interesting. We went. And it's written by Lyle Leibowitz, who is, I think, the editor of this tablet online magazine. I think he's something of a reactionary. I'm interested to read. Well, let me put it. I shouldn't say that. He's an admirer of Netanyahu. I'll say no more. And Stan Lee was definitely an American icon. Now, Joseph, was Stanley, where did we go to the studio with Lawrence? Well, we went to see the studio. It was Stanley's studio. I don't know, you remember, huh? You don't remember what? There was a tour. If you were if you knew something, if you knew someone, I think we waited 2 years. To get to see Stanley's studio. And it was very interesting. Let me see which one. Spider-Man, Iron Man, X-Man, Fantastic Four. So these are early on. So he was an early icon in the world. And then in the area that I don't know, who was it? Iris, who told me they didn't want to know? Somebody I spoke to this week didn't want to read another Holocaust book. But
No, not me. It wasn't me.
Someone I know, Brenda either. I don't know who else I spoke to this week. When Time Stopped, the memoir of my father's war and what remains. And this is, so they're all. But the point was that he was in plain sight, and she knew nothing about him. He had many different names and passports and so forth, but he lived through the war in Berlin. So, and she didn't know anything about his life, and went out to find out about her father, and evidently. Listen, any book that I had ordered was because the reviews were good. So if anyone doesn't mind another Holocaust, it's a little slightly different angle that it's going from. It's not hidden Jews, and it's someone who's out there. So not that you don't read about it or hear about it, but this one was supposed to be an amazing. A feat for him to get and to survive the war. And they said, nobody will tell you this but me, a true as told to me story. And this one looks very funny. And it's about a woman, a grandmother. This woman's Bess Kalb's grandmother was evidently they had a wonderful relationship, and it's recounting both family lore and family secrets. She brings 4 generations of indomitable women and men who love them. And it's supposed to be very funny and very good. And it's what's interesting, a lot of it is a dialogue between the girl and her grandmother. So it's really a very small book, and it's supposed to be very good beach reading. And now I say before we can't go by without having one cookbook. we did discuss cookbooks. This one is an interesting one. Eat Something, the Wise Sons Cookbook for Jews who like food and food lovers, for Jews who like food and food lovers who like Jews.
Oh, that's nice.
What's
Where
the name
did
of
you
that?
get it, Rona?
Huh?
Where did you pick it up?
It was being reviewed in the Hadassah magazine, and it's Chronicle Books in San Francisco. It's put together by the Wise Sons Deli in California. Now I
What's
have
the name? What's the
I
name
have-
of it again? Food lovers.
what food lovers.
Eat some.
Wise Sons Chicken Soup. They ran a delicatessen. It was a family delicatessen, and it's got very basic things, but it's very humorous. He's
Oh, I read about that book,
he's-
yes.
He's describing his the lemon inside the chicken. Don't you notice it's got a lemon? It is
Inside.
inside it. Yes. Passover, let my people eat. You know, each chapter has a funny title and pictures, and I think you'll get a different aspect because this is not a East Coast deli. It's a California deli. It has its own flavor that's a little different and filled with pictures. I guess family pictures and recipes. So.
What's the title though? I can't see it.
Eat
something,
Eat something.
which is certainly, you know, you're supposed, as I think we have mentioned when we talked about cookbooks, that cookbooks now have to be more than recipes. Cookbooks have to have the background, have to have the spice of it. They have to have a angle. It has to be, in this case, a delicatessen kind of background. And in this case, it's a dairy restaurant background. This one, very few, and this is a very famous, Ben Catcher is they used to be called cartoonists, and now they're called graphic artists. And it's a whole genre of this kind of thing. So let us.
That's very appropriate for now, the 9 days when you cannot
When
have
you
meat.
have brides, you can't have meat, and it is funny, but and it's filled with his debt. And I'm not even sure. When I looked through it, I thought that no book like this would go without a single. I'm looking just to be sure, without a single
Meat?
recipe, but it seems to me it is not. It's more a history of Jewish restaurants, Jewish dairy restaurants. They have their names and a description of them.
Ratner's.
I'm sure Ratner's. Here's Ratner's. Speak of Ratner's. This is Ratner's page. And but some, I mean, I didn't grow up, and I don't know that I ever. Oh, but look at that. I think Ratner's has a whole section.
Yes, Ratner's was very famous Lower East Side dairy restaurant.
Yeah, well, I've heard of it. And Yonah Schimmel's and
Yonah Schimmel's.
yeah.
Yonah Schimmel's
It's
out with dairy. Really?
Knishes Bakery.
Knishes, right. Knishes.
Sisterhood
We were
took
there
us on a
more
trip.
recently.
I'm sorry, Iris.
Oh. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sisterhood took us on a trip to, not Ratner's, the first one that we talked about, Ratner's,
Right.
for Blintz's,
I went
and
once.
years ago, years and years ago.
Many years ago.
Many.
It may have been the only time I was ever at Ratner's. I don't know.
Yonah Schimmel is still there. We were there not maybe 2-3 years ago. They're still there with their knishes.
Anyway, so here we are. So this is really more of a history of dairy restaurants. But the big three vegetarian and dairy restaurants eat at big three vegetarian and dairy restaurants. Oh, 19, I was going to say maybe they're still there. Well, I'm certainly, if somebody wants to look through it and tell us what's still here, I'll bet there's very little that's still here. So, but anyway. And now a quick this is where I think we'll go. Here is Big Summer, Jennifer Weiner's latest book, and
I
it's
have it already.
okay.
I
So
bought it.
that I do think you'll enjoy it for a summer. I'm sure just a couple of days read. So this is Big Summer, and as she's a wonderful speaker, and I will, maybe I'll send out an email when I see that there's an author who's speaking on Zoom. They, because I've always felt that if you know a little something about the author, that it really spices and it gives depth to what they're writing. And she is a kind of a breezy, talking about her children, and her big thing all along was, you might maybe even remember, her first book was made into a movie with Shirley
McLean?
MacLaine. What was the name of the movie? She was the grandmother, and her granddaughter, her flighty granddaughter, who never could get settled or something, ended up coming to the old age community in Florida, and really found herself. Was a sympathetic, always being considered the sister who never found herself taking care of these older people in Florida. That was her first book, and then they made the movie of it. This one is more. This is a family story about two friends from college, and they're getting together again. One was the heavyset foundation of their relationship, and the other one was the siren who took her, made her do things that she didn't, but wore the beautiful clothes and went to the beautiful places, and now her fancy friend, even though they had a fight and spoke for years, her
The
fancy
music
friend
comes on. I used audio.
needed her help. And all of her stories seem to have, and she herself, I saw at least one Zoom interview with her, where she says she's lost a good deal of weight. She was a heavy girl, the author, and the pictures of her used to be, she showed she was heavy. Now she's not. Now she said she went through a thin period, and now she's found her weight after stomach to stapling. So she says, I never went back. I never became a 4. So
Your guided reading, not lessons, but your guided reading questions or comments were very good in helping me get started in the book about weight, about feminism, things like that.
right. Yeah, and she has girls herself, and the interviewer said, well, what advice do you give to them? And of course she says you just got to be happy with yourself. And she said it took her a long time to decide that while she didn't want to be, who was the very heavy, she said, I'm happy the way I am, but I noticed over the years she's getting thinner and thinner. Now
Adele?
No, a black, oh no, I don't know if Adele is getting thinner, is she?
Very thin.
A black singer, very, one name, it'll come. After I find out the right.
Hudson.
Jennifer Hudson.
Jennifer Hudson.
No. This
Last name is Hudson. Jennifer, yes, Brenda, I think so.
No, but this is.
That young lady who won American Idol. What's her name? Pansy.
Well,
The girl who won American Idol, who's now a famous singer.
Jennifer Hudson.
No, the younger girl. I forgot.
Well, she's not. This is an old. By now, she's not young anymore. But I'll get her yet. A black singer.
I know exactly who you're talking about, but I can't think of her
And
name.
now but I'll tell you, over time though, I'm happy with my body, but she's much more svelte than she used to be. All right, now
Yes.
let's go over. I want to particularly mention this one, The Book of V, not only very well, it was also very well reviewed in Hadassah magazine, the Book of V, but the author is going to be on a Zoom, which I will send you an email on how to get it. And it's supposed to be a fantastic book. It's called The Book of V, and the V is for Vashti. This is a 3 parts, 3 women at over 9 days in their life. And one of them is Queen Esther, and one of them, and it's kind of finding a place for Vashti in the canon of good women. And then a girl in the 70s, a young woman in the 70s, thinking about her life, and then an older woman. In 2016, the other was in the 70s, and the other was Queen Esther. And it's the Hadassah loved it, and you'll be able to hear the speaker. Especially if you read it, if somebody will take it, read it, that will be all the better. But maybe I'll give the information to everybody.
When is that going to be?
I
What
think
day?
it's going to be next week.
Okay.
I don't have. I hate to leave you, but at the end, I promise I will get it out to you. But if I go and look at my book,
I don't get emails from you directly, Rona, for some reason. I get it from the synagogue, but not from you.
Well,
You have my
I
email?
if you want to send me your email, I'm Rona Lupkin at Gmail.
At Gmail. Okay, I'll send it to
Okay.
you.
And the book group. This is not a temple email that I have. Mine is the book group email.
Oh,
So
okay.
if not, we'd love to have you, but I'm only saying that's why you weren't getting it specifically. Okay.
Okay.
You know, from now on, you are on the list. I'm happy to have you there. So this is the Book of V, and I hope somebody takes it. This one is, I heard this one too. She's a Southern lady, and her interview will be available on, not streaming, but on the website. Maybe I guess streaming on the website rather than as a Zoom. And the only thing is, and it's not a problem for me because I never ask questions, that on Zoom you could ask questions, but but when you get it through a web, see, now I'm getting very knowledgeable. If you do it through a web, what is it called?
Webinar.
Is it a webinar? Then you're just seeing it. You're not involved in you can't be involved in it. You're just viewing it. Oh dear. Sorry, Carol is not able, doesn't have her anyway, sorry about that. But anyway, this one, Florence Adler Swims Forever. By Rachel Beanland. Now, Rachel Beanland was really great. It's a story that she knew. I think it was a family story, and it turns out a young woman wants to train in the summer to swim the English Channel, and drowns while she's practicing. And then it's what happens to the family after this. And
Oh my!
but it's not a sad. Altogether sad, which reminds me, I don't know if you recommend, I don't know if you noticed if you have the New York Times coming in the print edition, they had a whole section about a soldier and his sons. It was a pictorial, whole pictorial magazine, and then they had it streaming on. Then they had it also streaming. Not the book, but the story of this family, and reminds me of that in a way that that overcoming seems insurmountable odds, but the book is not a downer. She did a very good job, but it gave a lot of angst. You need. Either you have to give a tremendously wonderful portraits of people, or you have to have a plot. So I think the plot got this one. I didn't read it. I'm just saying it has something. This has something a bigger hook to put your story on. And
Oh.
this is a story of a mother who died, and her daughter and she had not been close. And after her mother died, she was trying to. Grief came in part because she hadn't had a relationship with her mother that she would have wanted, and but her mother left her a packet of envelopes, and with the instruction that she was supposed to go and to hand deliver to 5 men.
Oh.
Letters from her mother, and that's what the book is about. Her trips to. This was not part of the will, but it was just given to her at the time of her mother's death. And finally, this is a book, this is by a Persian writer, Dalia Sofer, who wrote The September of Shiraz, which was a very well received. I'm sure some of you have read Summer of Shiraz, and it is another. I'm sorry. This is her second book, and it's from a. I'm sorry. This is a generation not born in this country, but this is a Persian family. So she wrote very well, and I would think this would be a very good read too. So you have my offerings. I'd love to get them to you. They'll be, as I've said before, we have a parking space that's always open in front of my place, and I can leave it for you anytime with the doorman. So that anytime you want to pick it up, I promise it. So anyway, I want to just talk a minute, as I just said, you came in later. I'm hoping that next week that we can meet outside in the behind the Great Neck houses as a yes, Laura, a rose garden at Laura's selection. Laura and I are going to go and clean it up for you before, so we won't be embarrassed as members of the garden club. But it's been there a very long time, and it's being resurrected. It really has. We have a rosarian, and I hope that when you read anything, that if he's speaking again, he is evidently. Were you there when I didn't hear him when I somehow?
He was amazing. He was amazing. He knows the parentage of every rose that ever existed.
Oh, wow.
So that kind of a genealogy of roses and an appreciation, everything from the petals to the leaves to the scent of each one, how they were developed. He's a fascinating piece of information. Everything is great to listen to.
Yeah. So then, what is his name? The rosarian.
Jason?
Jason, yeah. I don't know.
Well, if the weather's inclement, will we do Zoom?
Yes. And
I mean,
in that case, yeah.
No, I for one am more comfortable inside. I will say that. Just the heat, the bugs, and I have trouble understanding people with the masks on.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, this will be a quieter location than it was at Grace Avenue when we met for the Sisterhood. Yeah.
It's just that I know myself that I wouldn't be outside for such a long time. Otherwise, just life seems to come in and get in my way. And I don't mind either way. Now, I certainly am happy to hear that. And we will have a survey. And we'll see. You definitely have and maybe some of the people who can't, I know that it'll be harder for like Eva, maybe I'll tell them they better come. I'll give them a guilt trip. And if we have it inside, they have to come.
According to the weather, it says that it's going to be a very hot day next Tuesday.
Oh, you've already heard of this coming. Well, we certainly don't want to go out. As it turns out, they're building a building across the street from us, and I think because of it, the water company is carrying up the street, and we have no air conditioning.
Oh,
Oh my.
That might seem strange to you, that combination, but we are water cooled.
Yeah.
We have central air conditioning that's water cooled.
Wow.
And they're afraid. that it might pollute the water tower.
Oh.
And so they're not having it on until 4 o'clock.
Wow.
It's not the end of the world, but I'm just saying, as a child, I didn't mind the heat, but I have to say now it's much more of a problem.
It's been unbearable outside. It really has.
I'm just
Brutal.
Did you think it was, yes, Brenda?
no, it's okay. Iris was speaking about the heat.
No, it's really unbearable
Yeah,
the last few
we-
days.
we do agree on that.
Yes, I haven't been out.
Did you think it was so bad last time? I'm just saying, do you think the temperature was unpleasant last time?
No, it was fine
Last
last
week
week.
was good.
I'm just checking. Has anybody here read the book, The Third Daughter?
It's on my list. I think it must be that for some reason it didn't come with the rest of the books, and that one was going to be delivered later. And I think that's it. But
It's gut-wrenching.
is it? But I just, especially having read it, I just want to tell you that the writer, the author, is going to be speaking on a Zoom. So at least for you, I will definitely get the information on how to hear her. I think her name is Talia Carner.
Yes, that's the name.
And that she has written other books that I have heard before. Off the top of my head, I don't remember which
Well,
ones.
it got 5 stars, and I'm reading it at the moment. It is gut-wrenching.
Okay, that's what I want to hear. I'm sure everybody wants to know. And what I wanted also for next week, well, it won't be as meaningful. I was hoping that if we met outside, that people could show off their. We must have a knitter. We must have a. Does anybody knit? Does anybody do cross stitching? Does anybody? I don't know. What else can you do that?
Needlepoint.
I gave away all of my needlepoint and all of my knitting and everything.
Yeah.
I just have the needles.
I do needlepoint. I just finished a
Oh,
talus bag for my third grandson, who's supposed to be bar mitzvahed in the fall. But I just brought it in to be made into the bag. I just finished the work, so
Oh,
I have
how
nothing to
nice.
show.
So bring it next time then, or whenever you. Okay.
It'll take, yeah. So
The whole thing is needlepoint, or it has needlepoint on it.
the whole front is needlepoint, and then they make it into a bag, and the back is velvet, black
That's
velvet.
so meaningful.
We had to go to New Jersey. There's one needlepoint store there that does a beautiful job converting them to talus bags, and they also put a monogram inside. So made with love by Grandma Iris, and the date.
Oh,
And the date was a problem this year because their birthday, the twins, their birthday is in July. They turn 13, but the B'nai Mitzvah is supposed to be the end of October, but that's not going to happen. So they'll maybe do a Zoom service, and then in the spring have a celebration. So I didn't know what date to put in the bag. I just put 2020. That speaks for itself, I think.
It does.
This year will go down in history.
I have some. All right, so next time, we'd like to see if it's back. We'd like to see it. Okay, got you, Ruth. It'll be downstairs for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Question, Rona, how would you like us to return the books that we finish?
It just happened. I think it's not a good idea to go there. I don't know if they'll let anybody in, except that I said I had to go to get books, but
I think the main library has a drop box outside.
but it belongs to our library, the bookshop.
Oh,
the Temple
right.
Library.
All right, right.
Could you just drop it off at the desk here?
That's a very good way to do it.
Okay.
Because I don't want you to go and find, because, I don't know if they'll let anybody in the building per se. I think that, that everybody has rules. They probably would, maybe they'd take it from you, but I think it's just as easy if I kept it, because that way, if you liked it, which I hope you do, that maybe that way I can easily get it to somebody else
Okay, good.
by having it here. All right, so I was hoping somebody would teach us an intricate, or show us an intricate step, but if I happen to have, not my work, but I have bags of my kids. I'm going to bring either where they are. And in the library, I have, and it always hurts me when I see it, that when people turn in books of relatives or whatever, very often, or very often enough, people put in tallis and tefillin in the box with the books that they're leaving off at the library, because it's not enough of a family heirloom to keep it, and I wish it were for every family. If it does, it does, and what can you do? But I certainly would never do anything with it, but I keep them in the library, and I have a shelf of, everyone is different. So I'm going to bring a number of them were handmade. And if anybody had in a family tallis bag, not handmade, but anybody have a tallis bag that was made by somebody in their family, and they have it, I wish you would either on Zoom, or if it's not too much trouble, even if we meet out, to have it, bring it with you, because they're part of our history, and I hope that I know that I appreciate them, and they're not even mine. So I do hope that, or like Iris, that you have put yourself into making it for someone else dear to you, and that hopefully also something that if it's not, we'll stay in rather than find it in the library box. So, and what about anybody else made tallis bags or made any? I don't think needlepoint is. Do you do anything else in needlepoint, Iris? Do you do any other? Does anybody?
I've
I did
made
a
some
lot of
pillows.
quilting.
I actually made wall hangings. When each of the grandchildren were born, I made a large wall hanging for them, either the alphabet or numbers with pictures, or little girl things, little boy things. So I've made 5 of those, and then I made the 3 tallis bags. And I'm actually looking for an idea, because I said for the 3 grandsons, I made the tallis bag, and neither of the granddaughters say that they want to wear tallises. So I don't know what to make for them that's equivalent to making a boy a tallis bag. And I can't seem to think if anybody has any ideas.
You crochet? What about it?
I don't crochet. No.
I was just thinking maybe a head covering of some kind.
I did a lot of quilting years ago, and there's something called trapunto, where you cut it in the back and you stuff it so that there's an extension on the pillow. And I had bought scarves from Marigold Company many years ago, probably 30 years ago. They were Picasso scarves, just nice little scarves signed with Picasso's name on it. So I started quilting on that. But then I did quilting at 4th grade history in Great Neck schools, was the history of Great Neck, starting from Mad Nan and the Indians, and Saddle Rock being the place where the Indians would wait for the warriors to come and they'd have a battle. But each child did something with quilting, and to the best of their ability. Some just did coloring with the colored markers, and I sewed them together. And it hung in the Great Neck Library, or the main library, for about a year or 2. It was the most exciting thing when they said they would like to hang it. And so that was a long time ago, but I still remember doing it.
Is it still in the library? No.
Not anymore.
No, I just wondered if you had it.
I gave it to them, so
Yeah.
it became theirs. What would I do with it in my house?
No, I just wanted you to show us if you had it.
I'm running out of walls as it is. When Lisa wanted me to move into up near her and to move into a smaller apartment, I said, I need 3 bedrooms and I need ceilings as well, because with my paintings, I have so many that I have to stay. I want to stay in my house. And I was hearing myself saying, Lisa wanted me to move. And then I heard, and I said, but Irene doesn't. And so I am so happy that I made that decision to stay in my house forever. And the garden, as we were talking, Pansy was making another floral arrangement. Every day we get something out of the garden, and it's such a joy. So I have things around me, the books and the flowers and looking up things, and I'm very happy inside. I need to go out for a little bit later, but it's going to be my first walk outside, and it's going to be hot.
Iris, maybe you can
Yeah.
do something, maybe you can do something with the girls' Hebrew names. Some type of needlepoint, either a hanging or because
Well,
I'm
the
sure,
thing is, though, I did that for their baby pictures.
Well,
I had
they're
done with their
older.
name.
now there, so it can be a series. It's okay.
Right.
That's a
And
thought.
And when they get and they get married, another one. You can have, then you could really make a.
What about a pillow for their bed?
I could. I had gone through all these, and someone suggested a challah cover, but that they wouldn't use till they're married.
But
Right,
yes.
right.
But the
Right.
pillow for the bed, I just got no enthusiasm for any suggestion. I figured I'm not gonna, it takes like a year to make, and
Yes.
so I don't know. Maybe I'll just buy them a piece of jewelry. It won't be the same.
Oh, with their name on it. I guess their name or something.
Yeah. The thing with the names, that's a thought.
It may be something with the Hebrew names that just might work and give you an idea.
Yeah, something pretty. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right, and I have one. I do nothing, but I don't know. Oh, well, do you have Laura? Laura, do you still have? I was thinking maybe we should do something. I have here.
Oh.
I have a Hamza.
Yeah, I didn't keep it.
No. But do you have the template from the original one? I don't.
It was,
Somewhere.
it's probably a thrown away mailing. Who did it come from?
That was a temple
Temple.
project.
It came from the temple.
Oh,
Well, maybe they have. Maybe she has it. Could.
all right.
Yeah, that was a family project or something toward the beginning of the isolation.
Pandemic, yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
Laura and I made that.
Yeah, and then
Well, I just think-
you did the paper cutting one after that. That must have been
Yes.
wonderful.
This is what this is. It's interesting that I guess in the Hamza, I did the paper cutting, but I didn't do this one yet. I did the workshop was wonderful, but I even went out and bought a craft knife. I didn't get past the olive. I had an olive one. But anyway, I just thought if anybody wanted, we could do it. And just, well, I'd love to have that woman do it. She was fantastic. But if anybody would contemplate it, all it takes is a craft knife and this, and a piece of cardboard or something, to cut out the design. I was afraid to do it. I was going to make a couple of copies so I could practice on doing it. I have to show you, and then we're going to all go home.
Very difficult.
Our leader is gone.
Iris, where's the best place to buy something to do needlepoint on?
There aren't too many stores around now. Most of them have closed. There's one in Merrick that's good. As I said, this one is in New Brunswick.
New Jersey.
Wow.
Not with a B. What's North Jersey? I don't know. It's an hour schlep. It really
That's a
was.
schlep, yeah. That
Bayonne?
is a schlep.
Come on, Bayonne?
No. I can't think of what. I don't know. I mean, I have the address, but in Merrick, they're very nice there.
Oh,
also.
It's beautiful.
It's really
that
fun.
is beautiful.
Beautiful.
I hung it on my door because I believe in anything that gives you good luck is worth keeping.
That's right. That's right.
So no, I was just thinking we could make it. It's just. This one doesn't require. This requires a steady hand. I mean, because this you have to cut out all the little pieces and
I threw it away.
Interior parts.
all the interior parts. But
Junk
this
toy.
one, you just cut around it and color it any way you wanted. So I'm just saying sort of like like a Masonic ring or something that shows a shared activity. So if I'm going to call, maybe Carol could get us the template, and we could just have a show and tell. That's because I don't knit. I don't know why I don't knit. I don't crochet. I don't do needle. I did do some rug. It was very
Hooking.
at one point. Hooking.
And you do a lot of other things, Rona.
Yes.
Rona,
Well,
you do a lot of reading and you share it with us.
I know, but I'm not complaining, or I'm not, I'm not happy. If I thought I was better at it, I put it in the same category as tennis. I like tennis, but it's not something I don't enjoy doing because I don't do it well. Now, there might be not, that maybe that's not a trait that's so wonderful, but I think most people end up doing what they do well, or they enjoy what they do well. And some people just have that extra spark, but I think that that's not the same thing as swimming or even tennis. I think for artwork and that kind of thing, you have to have ability too. So anyway, I loved it. I thank you all for coming, and I'm sorry if
Thank you.
Thank you, Rona.
Thank you, Rona.
I'm sorry did anybody read it to say, why did she say noon? I was just wondering if people read the emails or not.
Oh,
I read the email.
everything.
It just didn't. I just figured you're doing it at noon. It didn't occur
No,
to
I
me.
read-
See, but you did what I would assume anybody who did that would have to
I
call and say,
replied.
what did you mean?
But Rona, the temple email said 12:30.
Yes, I know.
The one that Angela sends.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
It was just
Go by Angela.
yeah, go by Angela. No. And I did send one later. You'll find that I did apologize. But because I was waiting, because once I did go to, I was waiting for an author, and he got to be 20 minutes. And I said, And so then when I went, then I said, oh, that's enough of that. And I did see that they had a last minute email, and it didn't make me feel any better because I spent the time who looks 5 minutes before the program, but I guess, I don't know. Anyway, so I do feel I should apologize. It was just, I don't know what I was
Don't
thinking.
worry about it. It's okay.
It's
We'll
fine.
forgive you this time.
Well,
Don't do it
Well,
again.
I'm so glad you're okay. I just was wondering if it kept anybody, I just didn't want anybody to,
Don't worry about it.
I don't want anybody to have come and then just thought that we didn't love them. Okay. But honestly, truly, it's much better to call and say, well, how come you made a mistake? I always count on Brenda and Laura and Iris too. So, but nobody called me except until Iris called.
Oh, I
And-
sent you an email.
Well, you see, that's it. I don't even look at my emails. Just people.
And I didn't want to bother you, so I called